Okay, so we're holding chapter 13, and chapter 13 is answering the questions from chapter 1. If you go to chapter 1, one of the things that um, one of the things that we discussed is, thank you so much, is that there are 5 different categories of people. There are 2 categories of tzaddikim, a tzaddik v'toivlei, a complete tzaddik, a tzaddik v'ralei, an incomplete tzaddik, a rasha v'toivlei, a rasha that has good to him, a rasha v'ralei, a complete rasha that only has bad, and then we have this beinani. A beinani is in between a tzaddik and a rasha. And we would think that a beinani, we're a beinani. We're in between a tzaddik and a rasha. We're not, so righteous. We're not wicked. We're in between. Mm-hmm. But the Tanya redefines. What's a tzaddik, what's a rasha, and what's a beinani. So, what we learn throughout all these chapters is that a beinani is someone who never sinned and never will sin. And he has complete control of his thought, speech, and action. That's the beinani. What you think is a tzaddik is what the Alter Rebbe is describing as a beinani. So in very, very short, a beinani is in between a tzaddik and a rasha. How so? He's in between because on the outside, he's in his thoughts, speech, and action, he is perfect like a tzaddik. And on the inside, he's exactly like a rasha, meaning that he has struggles the same way as the rasha. All of us are striving to become a beinani, one moment at a time. And when we say a beinani, someone who never sinned, it means that practically maybe he did sin, but at this very moment, he is so connected to Hashem, he did such a profound teshuvah, that the sin that he did only propelled him to get closer to Hashem, so it's not considered a sin, and therefore we say that a beinani is someone who never sinned, because the sin only brought him closer to Hashem, and he did such teshuvah that it's as if he never sinned. So the whole entire Tanya is trying to teach us how to become a beinani, and a beinani is something that's kikare v'lecha davar ma'od. It's very close to us that we could actually do it. And how to get there and how to do it, that's the journey of the Tanya. So in the first chapter, we asked a lot of questions. One question that we asked is, a soul is made to swear before it comes down to this earth. Every soul takes this oath. Tihi tzaddik v'al tihi rasha. Be a tzaddik and don't be a rasha. V'afilu kol ha'olam kulei omrim lecha tzaddik ata, and even if the entire world tells you you're a tzaddik, heyei beinecha ki rasha. You should view yourself as if you're a rasha. But there's a contradiction, because in Pirkei Avos it says that you should not see yourself as a rasha, because then you're going to get depressed and you're going to have a hard time serving Hashem. So the question is, when I look into the mirror, what do I see? Who am I? What do I see? How should I view myself? So ultimately we're getting the answer in this chapter, and the answer is, you should view yourself ki rasha, like a rasha. Not that you are a rasha, but that you're like a rasha. What does that mean? Welcome. What does that mean, that you're like a rasha? If there's this great athlete, and he maybe made it into the book of Guinness World Records, the greatest athlete, and then you have your son run so fast, and you say, wow, you're running so quickly, just like that athlete. Of course, he's not that athlete, but it's like he obviously isn't, but it's just a comparison. So a beinani, who we're striving to be, a Benoni has to view themselves kirasha, like a Rasha, meaning that they have to understand that their inner struggles will always be like a Rasha. Never going to get a break. There is one exception, but generally speaking, a Benoni is never going to get a break from the struggles, from their struggles, from the Yetzer Hara nudging. The Benoni is never going to get a break, and it's important. It's important for the Benoni to understand who he is because we have to be authentic and honest and know who we are and where we are in order to serve Hashem. For example, if someone wants to go on a diet, the first thing you have to know is how much do you weigh right now. You have to know who you are and where you are in order to get anywhere. So basically, the Benoni is Kir Rasha. He is struggling exactly like a Rasha. Another thing that we asked in the first chapter of Tanya is it says, when describing the 5 categories of people, it says, it says as follows. Risha'im Yetzer Hara Shaiftan. A Rasha, who is their judge? The Yetzer Hara is their judge. Oh, sorry, I missed the page. Okay, start from the beginning. In Gemara, in Tzipar Testa Brachas, it says, Tzadikim Yetzer Taiv Shaiftan Hulu. It says that Tzadikim, who is their judge? The Yetzer Taiv. Risha'im Yetzer Hara Shaiftan. Risha'im, who is their judge? The Yetzer Hara. Beinanim Zeh v'zeh Shaiftan. A Beinani has 2 judges. He's judged by the Yetzer Taiv and by the Yetzer Hara. So that would imply if he's judged by the Yetzer Taiv and the Yetzer Hara means that sometimes the Yetzer Taiv wins and sometimes the Yetzer Hara wins. That's our question. So here we're getting an answer. In the world, in the secular world, a judge gives a verdict and the verdict is a ruling and that's it. In Yiddishkeit, it doesn't work that way. In Yiddishkeit, there's no such thing as one judge that gives a verdict, that gives a ruling. The minimum amount of judges for anything is 3 judges. And if it's a capital case, it has to be minimum 21 judges. And if all 21 judges think that the person is guilty, that whole court is abolished. You can't have that everyone thinks that he's guilty. There has to be at least one person who's fighting for him. That's how it is in Yiddishkeit. So with the tzaddik, there's only one voice. There's only one voice. That's the voice of the Yetzer Taiv. Everyone's on the same page, and the tzaddik is always going to do the right thing. And the only judge, the only voice is the Yetzer Taiv. The Rasha, the one who does an Aveira. By him, it's Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is the only voice. The Yetzer Hara is the one that is the judge, and he listens to the Yetzer Hara. The Beinani Zeh v'zeh Shaiftan. The Beinani has 2 voices, the Yetzer Taiv and the Yetzer Hara. Both are giving their opinion. In Yiddishkeit, the judge gives their opinion, but the judge that's not necessarily the ruling. You have to have 3 judges. So who is the 3rd judge in the case of a Beinani? And the answer is Hashem himself. And what happens is the Yetzer Hara gives his opinion, welcome, and the Yetzer Taiv gives his opinion, and then Hashem comes and is machriya. Hashem comes and makes the majority. He's the 3rd one, and he ensures that the Beinani will always do the right thing in thought, speech, and action, and will always win. So now you can ask a question. In last chapter, in chapter 12, we said, that's when we first started talking about a Beinani, and we said that a Beinani had, what's his main tool to overcome the Yetzer Hara? Because he always has that voice nagging him. His main tool is something called Mayach Shalat al Halev. That the mind rules over the heart. When a person is standing, his brain is over his heart, versus an animal whose mind and heart are on the same level. Hashem created human beings that naturally we are able to control our heart. For example, if you're for some reason your child took his bowl of cereal and just with the milk and put it on their head, and you're about to you're in the middle of screaming at them or whatever, and then all of a sudden the doorbell rings or the phone rings, and all of a sudden in a split second, you're able to switch and say, "Oh, hello, welcome," and be so, positive and happy. In 1 second, we have the ability to, if someone's watching, all of a sudden that we could control ourselves. So that's a natural ability that we all have. And this is what the Benoni does. His Yetzer Hara could want whatever it wants, whatever it desires, but he's always in check. His mind always rules his heart, and therefore he could always do the right thing in thought, speech, and action. And he's perfect in thought, speech, and action. So if that's the case, that the Benoni always, his mind rules his heart, he's very good at it, he's amazing at it, then why in Parakid Gimel am I saying that there are two voices and I need Hashem to help? It seems like from chapter 12 that I don't need Hashem's help, that I'm just, mind rules over heart and we're good to go. So we have to understand as follows. There are 4 different cases in a Benoni's life. One case is he's davening. One case is he's learning. One case is that he's right after davening. And one case is that he's further on in his day, far from davening, far from learning, many hours passed since he last davened. So when a Benoni is davening or learning, at that point, he's plugged in, and mind rules over heart is accessible to him, and he's successful at it, and he could control his desires with his brain, with his mind. But if it's 5 hours after he davened, and the glow of davening is already gone, the further away he is from the time that he davened, the more he needs Hashem's assistance. And that's why during the day, when he's not just right after davening, when there are the 2 voices, he does need Hashem's assistance to be the third judge, so that he should overcome the Yetzer Hara and win in thought, speech, and action. Okay. So we discussed that. So we discussed that it's Kirasha, that he struggles like a Rasha, and that the fact that it says that there are 2 judges. Welcome. Okay. The fact that it says that there are 2 judges doesn't mean that the Yetzer Hara ever gets control of thought, speech, and action. He never does. But there are 2 voices, but Hashem is the one that interferes and always makes him be victorious and always succeed in thought, speech, and action. Okay. Okay. So there are sometimes, so you could ask another question. It seems unfair. Why is it that for the Benoni, Hashem will come and help? Hashem's the third judge to come and help him. And the Rasha, which is basically where we find ourselves most of the time, how come, how is Hashem helping us? Like, why doesn't Hashem come to our assistance? So,
also, is it considered merit? Meaning Hashem is doing it for him, then what's the merit?
It's almost like the Siyata D'Shmaya that it's sad it gets, where there's no. Okay, so here there is an argument, but they're still not doing the final fact of like actually winning, technically, right?
So I think what I think is that sometimes we have a dilemma. There are 2 voices and we have a dilemma. Which one should I do? I have two voices, and Hashem comes to our assistance. Sometimes when we're in the Russia mode, sometimes there only is one voice. If there's only one voice, Hashem can't come and assist you if you're so angry and you're so uh, um um and you're so and the Yetzer Hara completely took over, then Hashem is not in the picture. Then he can't.
Is that sometimes we don't even know which side is the good and which one's the bad. So she's
Saying
living in
it's
such
actually Hashem.
confusion. So then Hashem will just make that we choose the right thing. But sometimes we don't even know. Is it the right, like today my family didn't come. The right thing I should have stayed home with my baby? Or should I have come to the share? Like I really don't know what's the better, right? Apparently Hashem told me here.
Yeah.
But I'm saying sometimes we don't know. So maybe in that case by the Beinoni, Hashem actually helps them choose the right one.
Yeah. So if you have that's an excellent example. Should I go to the class or should I stay home and clean up or whatever it is? When I stop and say, what does Hashem want from me? Then Hashem will assist us to make the right decision.
Not always.
What? If we bring him in, we have to just keep bringing Hashem in. When Hashem says, "I'm going to help you," I'll be the third judge. And sometimes I don't know which voice is speaking. I don't know. I say, Hashem, please be the third judge. Like we say, Hashem, you're the third parent. Please, this is your child. Please help us make the right decision. And when you bring Hashem in, then Hashem will assist us. But sometimes we're so. Yesterday, basically, our Baruch Hashem, our daughter got married on Thursday, and Friday we went upstate, and I don't know when it was. It was Friday. It was Sunday. I don't know. Emergency message. This lady who we rented hair extensions from for the Kala. I didn't even know that it happened. I didn't even know that anything about it. Emergency, she needs the hair extensions, emergency for another Kala. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my house is locked. I'm up, first I was upstate, then I was in New York. I'm not coming home till Tuesday night. Message after phone call after phone call. I got back to her. I said, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to be in Tom's River until Tuesday night. And then I had to send her another message. I'm getting home really late Tuesday night. Could I bring it Wednesday morning? And she says, okay. So it's an emergency, right? I must get these hair extensions, emergency. So Wednesday morning, I put my baby in the car, I drop him off at school, and it's raining, and I'm already in Chestnut. I'm already in Lakewood. And I put in the GPS, the address, it's 28 more minutes drive. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had a Tanya class, which I didn't prepare for. And I'm like, I don't have any time to waste. And I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? It's an emergency. I have to do it, right? She sent me the address. It was 143 and a name, and beneath it, it says Coventry. So in my crazy state of I don't know, my brain fog, I thought maybe she made a mistake and she wrote one address and then maybe it's 143. I don't know why I thought it's 143 Coventry. And really, Coventry is the neighborhood, and I put in my GPS the wrong address. I put 143 Coventry. It was 143 something else in Coventry, but I don't know. With my brain fog, I don't know. It was my mistake, and that's what I did. 28 minutes later, I get there. I call her. She doesn't pick up the phone. I WhatsApp her, doesn't pick up. Nothing. So what am I supposed to do? It's an emergency. She needs an emergency for a call, right? And she doesn't pick up the phone. I'm calling. What am I going to do? I have no choice. I'm going to take it and I'm going to hang it by the door of 143 Coventry. Then I go home. 28 minutes later, I get home. So now I'm already an hour, it's already 11. All I did was drop off my kid on this thing. It's already 11:30. My class at 1:15. I'll be 12:45. And as soon as I get home, she sends me a message. That is not my address. So I forward her. You sent me the phone. Coventry is the neighborhood, not
Right here. Coventry down.
it's further up.
Coventry Street is in Coventry?
No. What is that?
I have no idea. In
Lakewood,
Lakewood, it's
minutes away.
I don't know where it is. Anyway, she sends me a message. It was a very harsh message, and I needed kindness that morning. I didn't need a harsh message. And she says, I don't even want to read it, but basically she says, I don't care how far away you live. It's your responsibility. You rented it. You have to bring it to me. It's $600 worth of here. And I hope I get it back, la la la, whatever. And I was like really, really upset. I was like, I don't have more time to waste. And I sent her a message. I was like so frustrated because it wasn't just driving 28 minutes, it was 28 minutes of bumper to bumper traffic. And I was like, very, there was Hashem was completely and totally not in the picture. There wasn't two voices. There was only one voice of anger and frustration. So I sent her a message. Okay, I'm going to go back to fix this, and I'm very disappointed about this misunderstanding. And I'm halfway back. I'm on Cedar Bridge, and she sends me a message that she sent someone to that address, and it was there hanging on the door, and she has it, whatever it is. But the point is, the point is that there wasn't a decision. Should I be angry or should I just, oh, this is Hashem's will, la la la, whatever. There were no two voices. There was one voice, and I came home and I'm like red in the face, like bursting. And my husband's like, if you want, I'll go back and fix it. I was like, no, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna fix the mistake. And you're not. He was offering to help. There was no logic whatsoever. There wasn't two voices. If there's only anger and frustration, then you didn't let Hashem in. Then how could He help you make the right decision? And then I come home and open up my Tanya, and I'm like, like if only I would have had Hashem. Like it would have been a different. It would have been a whole different. It would have looked different. It would have looked very different. You could laugh. You could laugh. You could laugh. And maybe you could ask your husband to do it. And maybe you could wait 5 minutes. Or maybe you could communicate. How far away is this address from? Oh, and she said she's working and it was such an emergency, but she wasn't home to even, even get it. Is there a possible, how far away is this address from you? Is it possible for someone to go around the corner and see? Because obviously it was in Coventry. So yeah.
But you have to go from your house to go move it in Coventry, you should have called me.
No, so I'm saying I could have done something. There was no brains. No, and I'm thinking to myself, if it's such an emergency, tomorrow I'm coming here anyway, whatever. But it was an emergency. I had to get there ASAP for a kala that I don't know.
I have to get married next week.
But the point is that sometimes we just go straight to the frustration, and that's a rush. You're in a rush up place, and you didn't let Hashem in. So how is He supposed to help you? Your husband's offering to help you, and you're saying no, don't help me. I'm gonna fix this. I don't need you to fix my mistake, whatever it is. You didn't let Hashem in. So how could Hashem be the third judge? So what is it? I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, she said.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Anyway,
You know her columns.
I didn't even real. I didn't. It was ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous. But that's what I'm saying. When we put Hashem in, and stop and think and use your brain for a few minutes, is there a solution instead of having to drive all the way back? Maybe communicate. Maybe there's I don't know.
Is there a solution to Hashem? Like saying, is there a solution? Should I ask my husband? What's that to do with putting Hashem in?
No, but as soon as we're not just what it means when there's only one voice, and the voice is the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is a wild animal.
There's no mayach in the picture.
Yeah, it's an ox.
Only emotion.
It's an ox in a china shop versus an ox with a harness on it. It's a completely different story. So sometimes when our emotions go crazy and we can't even think straight, then what do you then Hashem's happy to help you, but you didn't let Him in. You didn't turn to Him. You didn't ask for His advice. You're not allowing Him to be the third judge. So he's far away from davening. He's not plugged in at the moment. But Hashem is the third judge and helps him always be in control of his thought, speech, and action. A Beinoni has to realize that he's Kir Rasha, that he's like a Rasha, because there are two things. There are two souls. There's the godly soul and the animal soul. The Yetzer Tov is the emotional part of the godly soul. The Yetzer Hara is the emotional part of the animal soul. The Yetzer Hara and the animal soul live in the left side of the heart. The Yetzer Taiv and the godly soul live in the brain and in the right side of the heart. But we have to realize that both these souls, the animal soul and the godly soul, each have 10 powers. Each have 10 powers and 3 garments. The 10 powers are Chachma, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvur, Tiferes, Netzach, Yesod, Malchus. And they also have 3 garments. How can a soul express itself is thought, speech, and action. And at any given moment, one of the souls is using the thought, speech, and action is in the driver's seat. The thoughts are either thoughts of the godly soul or thoughts of the animal soul, speech either of the godly soul or the animal soul, action either of the souls. Only one soul could rule at a time. And both souls are fighting over control of the thought, speech, and action of the person. A person is compared to a small city. There are 2 kings vying for control over the city, over us, and at any given moment, one of them is in control. But we have to realize that there's thought, speech, and action of each soul, and there's the essence of the godly soul, the essence of the animal soul. And although the Beinoni has perfect control of the outside, of the thought, speech, and action, so when you see him, when you meet him in the street, you think he's a tzaddik because his thoughts are perfect, his speech is perfect, his action is perfect. But we have to realize that the essence of the animal soul has not changed or moved or been transformed one iota. And that's why he's Kirasha. That's why his entire life he's going to struggle like a Rasha, because the essence of the animal soul was not changed.
Well, Sarah said that isn't that amazing? Like, isn't that better than Hashem just giving?
No, they're both,
Oh, no, but you're saying like, no, but I guess to this point, like, isn't that amazing that his thought, speech, and action is perfect? Better than like in Tzaddik, just like gets that as a gift.
So the tzaddik is a different story because the tzaddik,
The whole thing is a gift.
yeah, what happened was with the tzaddik is that the animal soul has been transformed.
Has been transformed, or he was born without like that, like it was transformed.
So there are two. So there are 2 different levels of tzaddik. The highest level of tzaddik has transformed his animal soul. The lower level tzaddik, the animal soul is locked up in jail and can never express itself.
But the tzaddik was born with the perfect. That's the lower level.
Okay, so there are some tzaddikim that are born tzaddikim, and there are some tzaddikim that they work very, very hard. They become a Beinoni, and then a tzaddik is a gift. In any case, you could work very, very hard, and then Hashem could gift you with a tzaddik neshama to the person, or the person could be born a tzaddik. That's true also, but in many cases, a person like David HaMelech, he says, "V'libi chalal b'kirbi." What does that mean? That there's in my heart there's a place that's empty. What does that mean? That the Yetzer Hara is gone. He got rid of it. So that's a tzaddik. So he came to that level.
The Beinoni is obviously still has that arguing, but there's that perfection in the thought, speech, and action.
Yes.
And then sometimes that person can also get rid of the Yitzhar empire.
So either
no more arguing.
Right. So either you lock it in jail, or you completely transform it, that it becomes on your side. Those are 2 levels of a tzaddik. But with the Beinoni, the essence of the animal soul has not moved, has not changed, is as strong as ever. Not only that, you would think that with time, the more you work on yourself, the weaker the Yetzer Hara is going to become. The easier the struggle will get. However, it's not the case. The higher you go in your avodas Hashem, the Yetzer Hara also gets smarter and also gets more shrewd and also comes up with more tactics of how to bother you. And another issue is that even when we do things that are completely kosher and permitted, for example, to eat, to drink, to sleep, to go on vacation, anything that we do for our physical body, any materialistic thing that we do, and a lot of our day, we're involved with material things. All of the material things that we're involved with all give strength to our animal soul, even if it's all kosher. So the more years that we're on this earth, the stronger our animal soul gets because the more it's fed more and more materialistic things. So the battle is never going to get easier. It might get harder. So we have to be aware that just because a person says, "Oh, I've learned Tanya for 5 years, why am I still struggling with traffic or with getting angry or blah, blah, blah?" Because it's not it's kirasha. The struggle is as same as the rush of your entire life. It's never going to get easier. As a matter of fact, it will get harder because if you grew in your spirituality, then the Yetzer Hara also climbs a level. And in general, yeah. But what's
Not thinking that if you're working with yourself, why can't you like sort of stay with that?
No, probably that area that you do got better, but then there's bigger
You
stuff.
know, like they say, you do something for 40 days, and then like it comes right at you. So why? Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it was when you're saying that when you work, it comes
say 40
easier.
days, then.
And psychologically also, like when you rewire yourself, like when there's repetition in a certain thing, it does rewire your brain.
Has to be.
Has to be.
But
Maybe
your
there's new
struggles get
struggles.
bigger,
Maybe
so-
we're saying kind of there's new struggles that are bigger.
there's the new struggles, or don't be surprised. You see, let's say jealousy, for example. This came up last class on Wednesday. Someone was saying her sister's engaged now, and she's going back to the time that she was dating or that she was engaged, and she feels like her sister is having such a much better experience, and she feels a little bit of jealousy, even though it's her sister, la la la. So so that feels very yucky. Why am I feeling jealous of my sister? Shouldn't I be happy for her?
It's like new struggles. Huh?
So even if I overcome this struggle and I take Hashem into the picture and I say, listen, I got what I needed. She needs something else. And whatever it is, how you bring Hashem in and you answer and you deal with that jealousy. Don't be surprised if tomorrow the jealousy comes up in a different area, because in a different scenario, because the struggle, the struggle, the animal soul is as strong as ever. So it will be maybe in a different scenario, or it'll come up in a different way, or the Yetzer Hara will find a different tactic how to bring that up again. But just because you feel like I dealt with something, don't be surprised if it comes back up in a different way, in a different time, because it hasn't moved one bit. It says the essence of the Yetzer Hara, the essence of the animal soul,
The same
has
needles and the same struggle, but it's just in different meaning. It used to be I got angry because of this, and then it will be a more, sophisticated, but it's still the
Sophisticated.
same struggle.
yeah.
So you're saying it's discouraging? I think it's
No,
encouraging,
it's
because
not
when you
the
keep
same.
on feeling the same thing, it's not because you didn't work on yourself, it's
Right.
not because
It's just you're aware.
The nature of it.
What it's gonna be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we have to, because sometimes a person could say, I'm learning Torah for 40 years. How could it be that I still feel X, Y, and Z? And then maybe all my Torah isn't authentic. And maybe, a person could be like, how can I even be thinking about this?
Yeah.
So to understand, this is the nature of a Beinoni. This is how it is. So if the struggle comes up, don't beat yourself up, but rather understand.
I can't believe it. Like, here I am. My son is 10 years old. Like, right? No, this is the nature of the beast.
Right. To
Keep
understand,
on going.
to understand that the struggle is real, kirasha, and will be that way forever. Now, there's only one time when the Beinoni gets reprieve from the nagging, fetching of the Yetzer Hara and the animal soul. and that is when he's davening. When he's davening, he's contemplating on the greatness of Hashem. With what? With which power? Contemplating on the greatness of Hashem, you need something called a bina. There's chachma, bina, das. Chachma is a flash of lightning. Bina is when you develop it, and you think about it, and you contemplate it, and you take that little dot, the flash of lightning, and you make it wider and longer and wider, and you elaborate on it. So, for example, when someone conceives a baby, the husband's contribution is chachma, is just a seed, just a drop, and then the bina is the baby develops in the mother's womb, and that's why a woman is synonymous with bina. Bina yesera nitna be'isha, a woman has extra bina. So bina represents contemplating the greatness of Hashem. Now, there are 10 spheros. Chacham, bina, das, chassid, gvura, tiferes, netzach, hod, yesod, malchus. Now, Kabbalistically, the way they're written, it's triangle, 3, 6, and another triangle, and then malchus. So what if you see it Kabbalistically, you have chachma on the right side, bina on the left, das in the middle, chesed on the right side, gvura on the left, tiferes in the middle, which makes sense. Chesed is kindness, is on the right, gvura is severity on the left. So when you do this, when you map this out, you find that bina is on the left, as is gvura, strength, severity. So when you have bina, when you contemplate the greatness of Hashem by davening, you also tap into gvura. It's the same line. Gvura is strength, and you have the strength to overcome the Yetzer Hara when you contemplate the greatness of Hashem. The more you have Hashem in your life, the more strength you have to overcome the Yetzer Hara.
Concept of that, we talked about last time also. I guess it's only when you're really focused and in your davening. When I'm focusing instead of my mind is somewhere else, or I'm distracted with what's going on. But I guess it's not really called tefillah.
It's for sure called tefillah, but we have to work on it. But what's amazing about it, the way a Beinoni davens, is that a Beinoni is fully focused. Is fully focused on his davening. He doesn't have other thoughts. He's not thinking about all the other creative ideas. And when a Beinoni is fully focused, then this concept of mayach shalta alev, that the mind rules the heart, is very easy for him. Mayach and the gadlos, we spoke about that also.
Yeah, that's really during Shemona Esrei and
That's all that.
Yeah.
And the whole reprieve from the Yetzer Hara, I guess it's only when you're connected.
so we're talking about a Beinoni, we're not talking about myself.
Right.
Not everyone gets.
No, but everyone can get a
reprieve. No, but not everyone gets.
We could tap into it. We're striving for it. We're striving for it. During davening, during the time of Kriya Shema and Shemona Esrei, that's the time that Melech and the Galus is available. That it's available for us to tap into this, to tap into to be able to have extra power to contemplate on the greatness of Hashem. But what does it mean to be laser? And when you're laser focused, then even if your heart desires something, the mind rules over it. So besides for the wedding and everything else, my family asked me if I could write a song for my father's birthday, and of course I was so busy with the wedding, and also I wrote a song for my daughter's wedding. And I wanted it's a $500 project. By the time you're done with the music and recording and everything else, it's a $500 project. And it's Motzei Shabbos. And we had this whole Shabbos together with the family. And Motzei Shabbos, my siblings wanted to show this video that I had made for, I didn't make the video yet. They want the song that was supposed to be presented on Motzei Shabbos. And it's already midnight, and my sister's like, Hani, what's with the video? My kids had all promised they were going to help me, but of course they're all going to camp and everything. So Shayna, she made the template. All the words are in it, but now I have to find 90 pictures to put in. She said, it's so easy, Ma, just download, just drag it, da, da, da. Fine, but I still need 90 pictures to put in, and it's midnight, and it's Matzah Shabbos. And I said to my sister, I said, listen, tomorrow morning. So I was up till 3 a.m. and then I woke up at 8, from 8 to 10:30 to 8 to 10:25. I worked on it, and 10:30 we showed it till the last second. But I was so laser focused. This is what I have to do. This is my chance. Otherwise, that's it. This is when the family's together. And it didn't matter. I was tired. It made sense. It didn't make sense. But your heart may wants to sleep, but the heart didn't have a say. When your mind is so laser focused, then you could rule over your heart. And the same thing happened Monday. So now, okay, thank God that video was done. But Monday was my last chance when the Chassan and Kala were still in New York, and we had Shafam and Shabrachas to show the video for my daughter's wedding. Monday, I sat for 5 hours straight and finished it 5 minutes before we left the Shabrachas, because this was a deadline. There was no choice. It didn't matter anything else. And so because the Bini is laser focused by davening, right? And he has the Bina on, he's contemplating the Hashem. Anything the heart wants, it's a non-issue. The heart has no say. The mind rules the heart. And not only that, so basically the Yetzer Hara, the animal soul, the Yetzer Hara goes to sleep when the person is davening, and also when the person is learning, completely goes to sleep. It has no say. But the thing is, when it's sleeping, it's getting a power nap, because after davening, it's going to wake up with more, with more ideas. But in any case, so that's why when the Beinoni is davening, he has reprieve from the animal soul, from the Yetzer Hara. And this applies to davening and to learning, but by davening is the most unique thing in the world, and that is that temporarily he is able to transform, to change the essence of the animal soul a teeny tiny bit, only through davening, with love, with tremendous love for Hashem. Everything else, even if he's learning Torah a whole entire day, all he's doing is he's putting his animal soul and his Yetzer Hara to sleep. But when you sleep, right? Like if you come home and you're all frustrated and whatever it is, what's the best advice? Or when your kids come home and they're all frustrated, say, take a nap and eat something, right? But taking a nap, you wake up and you'll feel refreshed. But just because I take a nap doesn't mean the problem is going to go away, right? So just because the animal soul, Yetzer Hara, went to sleep doesn't mean that the Yetzer Hara changed. It didn't change. It's only sleeping, and it could wake up at any moment. And we have to be vigilant, and because the Yetzer Hara could wake up at any moment. And it's very important for the Bini to understand this, not to let his guard down. That's what happened in Israel, October 7th. What happened? Israel thought maybe the Arabs hate us a little bit less, and therefore we could let our guard down just a little bit. And then came October 7th. If God forbid a person has cancer, and then they get cured, the doctor says every 6 months come back to make sure that you're okay. After 5 years of coming back, every 6 months, the patient could say, listen, I already came back for 5 years, I'm not coming back anymore. The doctor will say, you're crazy. Just because for 5 years it didn't come back doesn't mean you could let your guard down. You have to keep making sure that it doesn't come back. So a Bini, especially a Bini who's davening and learning a whole day, thank you so much.
I already didn't come to class and I was in the country.
Wow.
Really
But thank you so much for all the food that you sent. It was so appreciated. Thank you. You got my message.
You left me a message?
Yeah.
I did not get it.
Okay, fine. So I'll make sure I sent it. Okay. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. Oh, thank you. You can't let your guard down. So it's very important for the Bini to know that that he always has to be strong because a Benini, even if he's davening and learning a whole entire day, all he's doing is he's putting his Yetzer Hara and animal soul to sleep. If he's davening temporarily, he's transforming it a little bit, making a dent. But usually, Torah learning, he's just putting it to sleep, and it could wake up at any time. The animal soul could wake up at any time, and you have to always be on guard. Um, and now we're going to answer one more question from Parak Aleph. And with that, we'll stop. And that is as follows. The question that we asked in Parak Aleph is, it was a very great Rebbe. He was the tzaddik of the generation. And his name was Rabbah, because he was very, very great. That wasn't his name at birth. He was just called Rabbah because he was very, very great. And he said, and he was teaching his Talmidim. And he said, for example, I'm a Beinani. So his student said to him, Abaye said to him, how could you call yourself a Beinani? If you say you're a Beinani, then what does that make all of us? That makes us all Rishayim. And so the question is, how did Rabbah make a mistake and say about himself that he's a Beinani? We cannot say that he was just being humble. Because if you're a teacher, you can't be humble. When it comes, you have to say things as they are. If something is tameh, you have to say it's tameh. If it's tar, you have to say it's tar. You can't, when you're teaching Talmidim, you can't, there's no place for humility. For him to say, oh, I'm a Beinani, to show that he's humble, that would not be correct, because you have to teach your students you have to be authentic. You have to say what things are. You can't say you're a Beinani if you really just because you want to be humble. That doesn't make that wouldn't be right. So the answer is as follows. The answer is that Rabbah made a mistake. He really was a tzaddik. But why did he think that he was a Beinani? Because a Beinani is something, he davened and learned so much that he thought the reason why my Yetzer Hara is not nagging me is because I put it to sleep. That's why it's not bothering me. The truth is that it wasn't bothering him because he had conquered it and it was in jail or it was transformed. And that's really why it wasn't bothering him. But so basically, when there is a very fine line which is not so clear. If you see a tzaddik, is he a tzaddik, is he a Beinani? You wouldn't, from the outside, you for sure wouldn't know. From the outside, you for sure wouldn't know. And even the inside is hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Is the person not having struggles from the Yetzer Hara because it's locked up in jail, because it's transformed, or because it's sleeping? So if it's just sleeping, then he's a Beinani. If it's locked up in jail, or if it's transformed, then it's a tzaddik. So that's why Rabbah was able to say about himself that he's a Beinani. He made a mistake saying that he's a Beinani because he thought that he's not feeling any urges, any desires from the animal soul because he put it to sleep, not realizing that he did even more than that. Okay, questions? Especially since I see new faces and it's the first time you're here.
We were Beinani. So
yeah. Okay.
What do you say a Beinani?
A Beinani means in between.
Right.
So in between a tzaddik. That's what we're striving to be. We thought that's what it says in the first paragraph of Tanya. You think a Beinani. Yeah, a Beinani. You think. Yeah. No. So I'm saying you would think that a Beinani means in between. What does it mean in between? When your kid comes home from preschool of Yom Kippur, there's a scale and the two sides are even. That's a Beinani. You think a Beinani is in between, that the mitzvahs and the averos are equal, right? That's a borrowed term for a Beinani in between. When it comes to should the person be guilty or should the person be innocent, a Beinani in between means when the averos and the mitzvahs are equal. That's
how we teach it. That's how I understand.
Right. So, but
we had Sarah made sure for us.
right? So what, I'm just not understanding.
So basically, there's something called a borrowed term. When you see your 5-year-old davening, you say, "Oh, you're such a tzaddik," right? So it's called a borrowed term. They're not actually a tzaddik, but we use the term a tzaddik. So Benini, we think a Benini, anyone who's better than me is a tzaddik. Anyone who's worse than me is a rasha. I'm a Benini. Right? That's how we think of a person did if I got a flat tire and I'm on the side of the road and someone stopped and fixed my tire, changed my tire. What do I say? You're such a tzaddik. Is he really a tzaddik, or is it tzaddik because he did me a favor at this very moment? I don't know his entire life. I just see one moment in the person's life. So when the Alter Rebbe is defining tzaddik, rasha, and binini, it's not just he's defining the essence. What is it in essence? He's defining what's a tzaddik, rasha, and binini, not a borrowed term, not a word that we just throw around to use whenever we want. He's defining in essence what is a tzaddik, in essence what is a rasha, in essence what is a binini. And when it comes to rasha, there's a huge spectrum. A huge spectrum when it comes to rasha. There's hundreds of thousands of levels. There's huge spectrum.
So we use the word Russia to us it's evil monster. What we learned is it's not really. Russia doesn't mean that. It means that you struggle and you can't always overcome, which is very, very human. It's not like a monster, it's not a monstrous evil, you know.
A person.
Just whatever.
Yeah. So basically, we're striving. Right. We're striving to be a
then probably a rush. There's a spectrum, like a better, like is that what?
Yes. Yes. Because, for example, it means.
Like to have you that. So
The question is, do I have complete control over my thought, speech, and action?
I don't want to feel like a rush.
No. We want to. What we want to do is, we want to learn how to have Melchshat Alev, how the mind can rule the heart. We want to learn. We're here to learn how to become a Beinoni. We're here to learn how to become a Beinoni. That's what we're here to learn. If I just to give an example, if a person says to you, "I'm driving to Montreal now, and you can come with me, but I just want you to know that I get into an accident once a month. Do you want to go with them?"
No.
No. What's if I tell you I get into an accident once a year? Do you want to go with them?
Well, if you got into that.
So the point is, you can have a person who gets into an accident once a month. And you can have a person who gets into an accident once in 10 years. So getting into accident means losing control of thought, speech, or action. So the second the person is at the moment that a person is not in control of his thought, speech, and action, at that moment he's in a rasha category. The very next moment he could be in a binini category if he does complete teshuva and he's super connected to Hashem and he has control. A binini, the definition of a binini.
It's like accepting, everyone is good, and we're all like, I didn't
100%.
Yeah, and I read it on Russia. I feel like hero will take you with open arms, cut out, sleeveless. I'm like not understanding this Russia thing.
Okay, so excellent, but you have to understand. Yeah.
By the way, I'm Sister's daughter. This is my daughter. Where's my sister?
So sweet, so sweet.
I'm just not. And I'm new to Tanya.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming. And welcome. And it's a journey. So I want to tell you something about Chabad. And that is that the Chabad Hasidim, in their personal life, there's no games. We're expected to be 100% Hasidish and from and everything else. There's no loopholes for ourselves.
Oh, but for
everyone else, we look at them from the perspective of their neshama, from where they're coming from. How can we bring them closer? You're my brother. But for ourselves, the Rebbe demanded so much from his Hasidim. It wasn't like, oh, you're Chabad, free lunch. No, the Rebbe made us work hard, and the Rebbe was never, ever satisfied with what we did. There always was. My 7-year-old son in his cheder, the last day of school, the teacher was talking about Gimel Tammuz, Rebbe's Yartzeit, and she said to the class, she said, if you were able to speak to the Rebbe today, what would you say? So he said, I would tell the Rebbe that I daven very nicely. So the teacher then asked, what would the Rebbe answer you? What would the Rebbe say back to you? So my 7-year-old son said, the Rebbe would say, very good, and do more. So that what if you built one Chabad house, go build 2, go build 20, go to 100. It was never enough. Whatever you did was never enough. The Rebbe was demanded and demanded and demanded and didn't stop demanding from his Hasidim. And wherever we go, a Chabad Chassid is taking the Rebbe with them. You're the representative of Chabad. You have to, dress the part and look the part and act the part. I said to my husband, my little kids are going to Manalapan Day Camp, and the bus stop is in Gourmet Glatt. So it was the first day yesterday that we went, and he drove them. And I said to my husband, could you buy squeezy yogurts for the baby? I was going to send him to a playgroup. We're out of squeezy yogurts. He said, Hani, I don't have my hat and jacket in the car, which meant I'm not going. You know what I'm saying? When he walks out of that car, it could be 8 o'clock in the morning. He probably won't meet anyone. He is not stepping out of his car without his hat and jacket, because he represents a Chabad Chassid, and he's not going anywhere without his hat and jacket.
If I would say you like a tzaddik, you look at yourself like a Russian.
I used to think so good about myself. I'm like such a strong person. Like I try so hard. And it's like I'm not even gonna be ugly. It's just interesting.
So at every moment, we try to do is
Also, your perception of what a Russia is, that's making it so hard.
yeah, we have to
Russia
change.
is not that evil monster that they drew in the coloring books.
Yeah.
So it's not so bad. So I'm trying to go by like burning again.
Gehenim is a non-issue.
Irrelevant. What then? It's like
You see, a major difference. Okay, so a major difference between Chabad and the rest of the world's view. Why are we here? Why are we here?
Transform this one.
One view is I'm here for my Olam Haba. And the other view is it's not about me. I'm here to transform this world into a dira b'tachtainim, into a dwelling place for God. I'm here on a mission. It's not for my Olam Haba. That's not the purpose of creation. Is that I should, because if it's Olam Haba, it's about me. I could sit in my house all day, my whole life, learn Torah. I just need to get Olam Haba.
All has asking us to have a poser. They should become Islam. What's this world for?
So there are different. So first of all,
That like all right, because
100%. First of all, there's Shivim Param Torah.
They're having both.
Everything's right. But the Chassid,
we don't think about that.
the Chabad perspective is we don't have time to think about it. We don't have time to think about it. Why did Hashem create this world? If He wanted just Olam Haba, then why did I have to come down here? I could have just what? To earn it. Okay, fine. So that is definitely one. Right. So that's definitely one outlook. That's one perspective. The Chabad perspective is that Hashem had a desire. Hashem desired to create a physical world where He is completely and totally hidden. And that in this physical world, we should reveal Hashem to the point that Hashem could be comfortable in this world. When we come to a shir, whatever, we go outside, wherever we go, put on a sheitel, put on makeup, you look presentable, you go outside. When you come home, you could be you. You could kick off your shoes, you could put on a tichel, you could jump on your bed if you want, you could do whatever you want in your house. You're comfortable in your house. When that door closes, you lock it, that's it. You could do whatever you want in your own house. Hashem wants to be as comfortable as you are in your own house. Hashem wants to be that comfortable in this physical world. Comfortable means that He should be revealed, that the whole world should recognize His truth and recognize Hashem in this world. That's Hashem's desire. So if I just sit and learn Torah a whole day, I'm going to elevate myself to the highest level. But what about Hashem's desire? Hashem, how am I going to, how are we going, what are we doing for Hashem, not just for ourselves? If it's all about me and my Gan Eden, I'm serving myself. I'm not serving Hashem. I'm here to serve myself. So I should get a better place in Gan Eden. But that's one perspective. But the Chabad approach is that it's not about me and it's not about my Gan Eden. I'm here to serve Hashem, to make this world transform this world into a place for Hashem. It could be both. It could be both.
Why can't you bring Hashem in animals so it gets hard?
100%. For sure.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's hard to be the driving force.
Right,
Yeah.
I don't see why it's only that. We definitely look for all MS.
Yeah, but are you living in?
But it's-
Or you're living in 12%?
So now I look that I'm not just living in this world for all MS, but I'm also here to serve Hashem. Which I think it's not a contradiction. I think
It's self. Am I self-serving or am I God-serving?
So you're saying that you shouldn't learn so much from doing it for yourself.
No,
Chabad not into learning.
No, Chabad isn't to learning, but I'm not learning for myself. I'm learning. So if I need to learn Aleph and Beis, I should teach Aleph and Beis to someone else. The point is always to share, to give, to spread, to change, to transform. That's our approach. But in our own personal life, there's no
Everything's fine.
it's just
But and getting back to Benoni, what am
we are striving to be a Benoni, meaning we're striving that at every moment we should have perfect control of our thoughts, our speech, and our action. A Benoni does not have to transform the essence of their animal soul. If you have a struggle inside of you, a Benoni doesn't have to beat themselves up every time they have an inappropriate thought, but they do have to shut it down. If the thought pops in your head, that's just a Benoni. But we at every moment that and on the outside, that what we choose to dwell on, to think about, the words that come out of our mouth and the actions that we do, the Benoni's job, you're a Benoni if you could control yourself to only think appropriate thoughts, to only speak appropriate words, and only to do what Hashem wants. That is the definition of a Benoni, and that is what we're trying to do. And the Tanya teaches us how we could actually have that control. Just to give you a tiny example, which Tanya is going to say later on. For example, because when a person falls and does an avera, it's only because a spirit of folly, foolishness, took them over. And they think that this little avera is not really turning me away from Hashem. And that's why they fall. That's why they fall. That's why they do an avera. Today we live in a generation where we don't have persecution and we don't have to actually give up our life in Mesiras Nefesh. But in generations, in previous generations,
you do, but not in the way you're thinking.
Not physically. We have to give up our will.
There's a lot of we have a lot of Nisyanos, but it's not like in what you're thinking.
So I'm saying we don't have.
But it's not like for Kiddush Hashem.
Right, to die al Kiddush Hashem. That person will come to you either.
No, that's very hard to do.
Yes, I'm saying this. So obviously, yes, but
there's the challenges today are not like they were years ago.
Right.
We have different.
Yes, but we don't have someone coming to us today and say either bow down to the cross or I'm going to kill you, right? But in those days when we had that, when Yidden were faced with that decision, right? A Yid would give up, because what happens when a person says either bow down to the cross or I'm going to kill you? At that time, the Pintel Yid wakes up and a person realizes if I bow down to the cross, even for 1 minute, I am separating myself away. I'm separating myself from Hashem. And a Yid doesn't want to be separate from Hashem even for 1 second. The Yid can make a calculation. I'll bow down to the cross and then I'll get up and I'll live another 100 years and I'll serve Hashem. But he doesn't make that calculation because a Yid doesn't want to be separated from Hashem for 1 second. So if a person thinks to themselves, should I do this Aveira or not? If I'm ready to die, not to be separated from Hashem, then for sure I could give up this little taiva for Hashem. So this is just one thought amongst many, many thoughts that the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe teaches us how to, so that when a struggle comes up, how to have control. Have to have control with thought, speech, and action. You don't have to, the struggles are going to be strong. The struggles will never change. It's Kid Russia. You're going to struggle like a Russia your whole life. But all we have to do, a Beinoni, is on the outside, thought, speech, and action, to make sure that our thoughts are good, our speech is good, and our action is good. That's a Beinoni. So there was a little boy, and with this I'll end. There was a little boy who was 7 years old, 6 years old, and his uncle or his great uncle came for a visit. And he was a very big chassid. So the child goes to the great uncle and he says, "Are you a Beinoni?" So what does he answer? He tells the little boy, "Go to the Sfarim shop and bring me a Tehillim." And he opens up the Tehillim and he says, "Say a kapitel of Tehillim." And he says a kapitel of Tehillim. Then he turns to the boy and he says, "When you were saying the Tehillim, were you thinking anything bad?" He says, "No." "Were you speaking bad? Were you saying Lashon Hara?" "No, we were saying Tehillim." "Were you fighting with your brother?" "No." You were a Beinoni. When you're saying the Tehillim, you're a Beinoni. You're perfect in your thought, you're perfect in your speech, you're perfect in your action. Our goal is a Beinoni moment. How many moments of my day can I be in control of my thought, speech, and action? How many moments of my day can I have a Beinoni moment? That's our thought process. The point of the class is
not making you a Beinoni. The Beinoni is way more than that.
a bit but at any given moment,
the term Beinoni.
okay, but we're not, but what we're saying is if we're in control of our thought, speech, and action, we are a Beinoni in that moment. We're a true Beinoni in that moment.
Because when we sin in the past, no?
But it's possible. It's possible for it to be a real Beinoni moment if at that moment you're truly connected to Hashem. When you feel connected to Hashem,
Well, your past.
then your past, the past is irrelevant, because anything that took you away from anything that was a sin, the fact that you were far away is what's making you closer now.
Okay, so what about the whole series makes Shuba? That's like a different approach if the goal is only to become a Beinoni.
Doesn't choose a designated times to work on becoming that.
But I always grew up thinking that the goal was to become a tzaddik from a Beinoni.
So those are valid terms, and not you can't really become a tzaddik. Right? You can't become, could you become a tzaddik? Or
Only if it's gifted to, only if you're born that way, or if it's gifted for you from Hashem. A tzaddik, it's not a goal.
Righteous, maybe you use the word righteous, you're trying to be righteous, because the term tzaddik is a very, very elevated, it's only a few tzaddikim in every generation, we said, right?
Yeah. A tzaddik is someone who never has any urges or desires coming from his animal, doesn't have an animal soul. It's completely and totally locked away. Our body is like a city, right? So you could have a city that's crime free, or you could have a city that's criminal free.
Okay.
Crime free means that there's no crime in the streets, but there are still criminals, and the criminals are locked in jail. Criminal free means that there are no criminals. The criminals were all transformed and all became good people. So a crime free city is, for my city, there's crime free. You'll never find any averes. There'll never be any temptations. That's a lower level tzaddik. And the higher level tzaddik is when it's criminal free, that there's no criminals even in jail. So I should have, the introduction to the class is that everything that you know until now, you have to put aside and open up a clean page. It's a new perspective. It's a new approach. Yeah, but thanks for bearing with us and coming and giving it a chance. No, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. Okay.
Where did you hear that from? I think a fish vendor once came.
Yeah, so like our father-in-law, he is very,